In about 1.5 hours, the National Assembly will debate the censure motion against Speaker Justin Muturi. The motion was moved by Kibwezi West Member of Parliament Patrick Musimba, who accuses the Speaker of failing to protect the dignity and integrity of the House. Well, we are now joined live by KTN Senior Parliamentary Affairs Editor Aaron Ochieng. Aaron, thank you very much for joining us. What are the points of commission or omission by Speaker Justin Muturi Musimba is basing his motion on?
Well, Betty, Honorable Patrick Musimba's argument is that the 11th Parliament has failed the credibility test as compared to other parliaments, and being the head of the Parliament, Justin Muturi is the one to bear responsibility for this. Musimba is arguing that the Speaker has neglected the rights of some members, especially from the opposition side. He has even gone ahead to mention a few instances where the Speaker has actually used unparliamentary language against some members from the opposition. And he's saying the Speaker is not fit to continue holding the position of Speaker or as the head of this Parliament. So we're waiting to see the debate. Of course, it is a tall order for the opposition based on the number that the Jubilee side, the government side, is holding. But other than that, we're waiting to see those instances that members of Parliament from the opposition side will point out as the ones that the Speaker has not performed to the expectation. Betty.
Aaron, are these sentiments also shared by members of the Jubilee Party, or is just the Code Coalition?
Well, as of now, we haven't known those who are opposed and those who are proposed to this kind of motion. But my bet would be, I know the Jubilee side will have full numbers, and I'm sure the chief whips have really whipped their members to make sure that this motion does not succeed. Betty.
Aaron, we've previously seen very fiery discussions and debates in the House. What kind of debate are we expecting this afternoon in terms of this censure motion?
I'm expecting a very heated debate from both sides, because this is one occasion that each side will try to outdo each other, especially the opposition, knowing that they are disadvantaged in terms of numbers, so they will want to push their agenda and their arguments to see if at all, although it is not very possible to get even members of the Jubilee side to agree with them that they need to censure Justin Muturi.
All right, Aaron, just before we let you go, Ababu Namamba was apparently recalled by the Powers and Privileges Committee. Do we know why?
Well, if you recall, Betty, Honorable Ababu Namamba was the first person to be summoned by the Privileges Committee. This is the first one who gave his testimony in these investigations into alleged misappropriation of funds by the Public Accounts Committee. And there were several other people who came to give their testimony, and you know, him being the person at the core of these investigations had to be recalled just to shed more light on some of the issues that the other people who witnessed could have said against the Public Accounts Committee, and in particular Ababu himself. Betty.
Thank you very much, Aaron Ochieng, joining us from Parliament, whereby in about 1.5 hours, the National Assembly will debate the censure motion against Speaker Justin Muturi. Well, this particular motion was moved by Kibwezi West Member of Parliament Patrick Musimba, who accuses the Speaker of failing to protect the dignity and integrity of the House. We will be covering that story for you, and we'll have all the details in our subsequent bulletins. Well, moving on, Tetu Member of Parliament Ndungu Givenji has dismissed a move by opposition MPs to censure the National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi. Givenji downplayed the censure notice by Kibwezi MP Patrick Musimba on the Speaker, terming it as a ploy by court to undermine the Jubilee government. Well, this comes after the opposition attacked the government, arguing that the Speaker had failed to act on corrupt MPs in Parliament. The Tetu MPs said that court is trying to use Parliament to undermine and destabilize the government. Givenji was speaking in Tetu constituency today while commissioning the construction of Gititu Dam in his constituency. The dam that is expected to take 4 months to construct will improve the livelihoods of the residents by enabling farming activities.
Hii ni mpango ya kujaribu kumaliza serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta. Kama kuna ufisadi, kuna institutions ya kufuatilia mambo ya ufisadi. Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, kuna police, kuna CID, kuna NIS, kuna watu wengi ambaye wanafaa kufanya hiyo kazi. Sio Africog, sio Gladwell Otieno, sio John Githongo. Hiyo sio kazi yao, wao warudi kwao nyumbani Ulaya. Na kama wanaendelea hivyo, hata wazungu wale wanawatuma hapa kutusumbua, kutuchochea na kutuharibu mafikra, hatutakubali serikali yetu itingike kamwe.
Several days after court leader Raila Odinga accused President Uhuru Kenyatta of slipping on the job in the fight against corruption, JAP leaders have strongly come out to defend the head of state. While speaking in a meeting in Kajiado, Kigumo MP Jamle Kamau said that the court leader should take his grievances to the relevant authorities that were constituted when he was the Prime Minister. Majority Leader Aden Duale also said that the Constitution has outlined the right bodies to fight corruption away from the executive. Duale reiterated that the President cannot fight corruption when these bodies are embroiled in corruption. On his part, Kericho Senator Charles Keter challenged Raila to point the corrupt individuals and help them bring them back to book. Well, the leaders also challenged the former Prime to report court MPs accused of corruption.
Wale ambao wasaliti wako ndani ya hiyo serikali labda ndio wanawaambia kwamba hakuna haki ambaye wanafaa tutendee. Tunadai haki yetu. Mimi nikiongea, Uhuru ameongea, Ruto ameongea. I want to make it here very clearly. 2017 chama ya Uhuru Kenyatta na William Ruto na sisi wote ni Jubilee Alliance Party of Kenya. 2017 candidate wetu, captain wetu ni Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Naunga nyinyi mkono kwa sababu sisi tunataka mtu mwenye ameshinda ashinde kwa njia ya amani, ashinde na njia ya haki, si ndio? So tunaungana mkono na nyinyi na tunamwelezea wapinzani wenzetu wenye walifurahi sana, wenye walikuja wakiimba tinga hakuna kitu atafanya sehemu hii ya Kajiado.
Learning institutions in Samburu County have been forced to shut down following the influx of marauding elephants encroached into the villages and schools in the area. Well, the most affected area is Kirimon village, where area residents have been prevented from carrying out daily activities of fetching water and searching for pasture for their animals as the elephants block major passage points. Residents say the elephants have also destroyed indigenous trees and say their complaints to the Kenya Wildlife Service in the area have fallen on deaf ears.
Ndovu ameharibu kabisa, kung'oa miti na kikingi sekenge ameharibu.
Kwa hivyo tulikuwa tunaomba KWS wakuje wasukume ndovu katika settlement ya binadamu wapeleke pale kwa conservation area.
We still had human wildlife conflicts where elephants destroy farms as they try to forage. The drought was actually very severe in the area, and they were also just roaming around to try and forage, seek for water, which was scarce in the area. But that notwithstanding, we are prepared to see that we protect the people's farms and properties.
The county government of Kiambu has partnered with Fukuoka University from Japan, United Nations Habitat and the Ministry of Lands and Housing to start using the latest technology in waste management. Kiambu Governor William Kabogo said that the landfill site will be constructed with funding provided by the county government of Kiambu and the Swedish government at a cost of 114 million shillings. The project will sit on a 20-acre piece of land, but more land will be acquired as the project expands. UN Habitat boss noted that Thika being one of the largest towns within the county of Kiambu, the county will make steps in shifting its approach in solid waste management from the conventional methods of incineration and open dumping to promote landfilling waste reduction, composting and recycling methods.
Yeah.
And welcome back to KTN News Desk. I'm Michael Karanja. Now, 2 weeks ago, to be exact, on the 14th of March, Kenyans were up in a row, especially because of the fuel price increase that went up by about 5 shillings, especially for super petrol. And just to help us understand what goes into the fuel price calculation, I'm now joined by Joe Nganga, who's the Director General for the Energy Regulatory Commission. Just to start, obviously Kenyans have become expectant of low fuel prices. What happened over the last 1 month to see such a huge increase in fuel prices?
Thank you, Michael, for having me around. I think the key thing is to appreciate the dynamics of the international market and the local market.
Yeah.
The prices bottomed up, international prices, in terms of refined products on 10th January of this year. So as we were announcing the increases in 14th of January and February, the international prices were going up. So when we announced the prices for this month, it was actually 62 days from the time the prices started going up.
Yeah.
So that explains the lag, and also it explains the fact that as we were announcing the prices earlier, they were reducing for both January and February.
Yeah.
But internationally, as I've explained, they started going up on the 10th of January. And in terms of the pricing, what we look for is a very simple way of pricing the product. It's the cost of the product itself, that is the refined product,
yeah,
plus the additional costs along the supply chain. And what we add there would be the freight and insurance, because they're imported from the Middle East. And then they come to Mombasa, and then we'll add the local costs. The local costs consist of taxes and levies, the suppliers' margins,
yeah,
and the distribution costs.
Obviously, when you're looking at that, obviously these things are capped, and that helps more or less in a way of having a fixed price of fuel for a month. But just looking at the variables, isn't it? Because the argument has been that the price controls for fuel have run their course and perhaps needs to be changed. So when you look at those fixed elements that actually go into the pricing of oil, isn't it some time to readjust them or make them more flexible so that some Kenyans can enjoy the full benefit of fuel prices when they are low?
There was a rationale in terms of ensuring that you cap, for instance, the margins for the suppliers.
Yeah.
And the intention here is to avoid a situation where the prices, if they are high, they will benefit a particular stakeholder. So there should be a situation where we avoid the price movement upwards, for instance, being of benefit to some particular stakeholder. So when you cap, you actually restrain the movement to the actual cost of the product. And this is where actually the difference comes in when people are looking at the reduction, the expectations.
Yeah.
If I can take the case, for instance, of August last year, the price of super petrol was 116 shillings.
Yeah.
When you look at the fixed cost, the total would be the taxes and duties would be 30 shillings. The supplier's margin 11 shillings. And distribution costs through the Kenya pipeline infrastructure 4 shillings.
Yeah.
That is 45 shillings. So out of the 116 shillings per litre, you have to remove 45 shillings. So the only component that would change would be 71 shillings per litre. Now when you come to February now, when we had the total 84 shillings,
yeah,
the difference now of the 45 and the 84 will be about that 9. So when you move now from the 71 shillings that was obtaining around August last year and February this year, the proportion will very much reflect the changes in the international prices. That will be about 44%.
Then how come everyone doesn't seem comfortable? Because there have been calls. We've had the World Bank weigh in on this matter. COFEC is after the neck of the Energy Regulatory Commission in as far as price controls on fuel is concerned. And we also have some businesses, especially in manufacturing, that have also voiced their concern about Kenyans not enjoying the full benefit of the low prices that are there currently.
I think, Michael, there are some issues that I need to clarify. For instance, in terms of the changes in the cost of production, we did not change the fuel cost charge, which is a key driver of the cost of power. Now, when you're talking about manufacturing, of course, energy will be a significant component. And the fact that we didn't change that essentially means that there shouldn't be a talk about the changes in terms of the cost of production. We're talking about only super petrol, because even diesel, we only changed it by 68 cents. So in terms of the commercial activities surrounding the transportation, they basically were flat. Now, when I go back now to the World Bank report, we have had a conversation with them, and we work very closely with them. So it was very easy to be able to find out the basis on which they were able to make their comments. And I can assure you that we did send our pricing team to them. We've taken them through all the process, and we are having subsequent meetings, because essentially it comes with the fact that they are relying on the crude oil reduction prices. I have mentioned
an element that you've brought up is Platts. Perhaps if you just explain Platts in 30 seconds.
Platts is an index, a kind of marker that benchmarks the prices for refined products, as opposed to Brent or WTI, that's West Texas Intermediate, or Murban crude, that track the movement of crude prices. So in this case, we should be looking at Platts. And when we look at the movement of Platts, it clearly reflects the movements in the local prices.
All right. Joe, I cannot let you go without answering this question. Oil marketers have been of the opinion that the infrastructure does not allow us to fully utilize what is there. We're not able to store a lot of fuel when cheap prices of fuel. The infrastructure around the pipeline might not be sufficient to, and hence why we're able to have all those added costs. But when you look at the one jetty for floating crude, for refined products when they come into the country, so you look at the infrastructure. What's the Commission doing in terms of getting that right, so that for some longevity, so that we're able to have some buffers?
I do agree with you, Michael, that there could be certainly operational efficiency that can be enhanced. And as you have rightfully said, one of them would be capacity. And also in terms of the risk of having one jetty for the evacuation of the product. These and other things are being handled because we appreciate the fact that perhaps if we had adequate capacity, we would have taken advantage of the low prices. And many areas in the world are actually moving that direction to try as much as possible to buy as much petroleum as you can do in this low price regime. So certainly there are issues that we feel can be improved on, and we engage with the various stakeholders to ensure that we have adequate capacity to be able to take advantage of these situations in the future.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe Nganga. That has been Joe Nganga, the Director General of the Energy Regulatory Commission, just shedding some light on what goes into the fuel price calculation following the uproar of 2 weeks ago, where fuel prices went up by at least 5 shillings. Betty Kialo, what's happening on the sporting front?
Thank you very much, Michael. Interesting conversation there. Let me bring you up to speed with what is taking place in sports. Kenya national volleyball champions Kenya Pipeline have set their eyes on the World Club Championships qualifications as they head to Egypt for the qualifiers. Pipeline, who traveled to Cairo alongside local rivals Kenya Presence and KCB, seek to reclaim the title they won last year. Actually, they won in 2005. Well, Robinson Okenya reports.
The last time Kenya Pipeline won the coveted African Club Championship trophy was 2005 away in Algeria. Since then, Pipeline have had to settle for second on a number of occasions, while local rivals Kenya Prisons kept guard of the Continental Trophy. After winning the national title last year, Pipeline are now seeking to add another silverware to their trophy cabinet. Despite Kenyan opponents KCB and former champions Kenya Prisons being in the club championship in Cairo, Pipeline are confident of hitting top gears.
Last time we were number 3. This year we are targeting number 1. If all goes well, we need number 1. And we are not underrating any team that's coming for the championship.
I don't see any hard thing that will not make us to win, to be the African queens.
Under the guidance of head coach Jafet Munala, Pipeline feel the inclusion of experienced players in Asha Makuto, Janet Wanja and Monica Biama together with a blend of young talent, they will spring the hunger for success in Africa.
The team is perfect with the likes of the blend between the old and the new.
You tend to play so that you can match the experience of that older player, and it's very good.
The team departs on Tuesday morning for Cairo, with the championship expected to begin on Wednesday.
There may have been a shadow on continental volleyball in recent history, but this year, Kenya Pipeline feel they're well lubricated to conquer Africa. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
Well, that's where we wind up KTN News Desk. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Betty Kialo.